I've got a Tableau workbook open, and we've already connected to the Atlanta flight delays dataset. In this video, we'll create a summary table of our most important metrics by destination airport. In Tableau, this type of chart is called a text table. First, let's rename our worksheet to call it Summary Table by Destination Airport. This is the perfect opportunity to use two fields that are automatically generated by Tableau. They're called measure names and measure values, and you'll see them here in italics in the data pane. First, let's drag and drop measure names onto the columns shelf. We'll get a message that says no measure values because we aren't finished yet. Let's drag and drop measure values onto text within the marks card. And now we have our text table. Measure names is a dimension with names of the measure fields stored in it, and that we use that to create our labels here for our columns. We also need to have values associated with those labels, and that's why we added them to text as measure values. The nice thing is that by default, all measures are brought into your view, and they show up here in the measure values card. We can remove any measures that we don't want to use in our table. Let's remove the sum of airtime by taking it and dragging it and dropping it off. And let's also remove dip delay 15, drag it off. You can change the default aggregations here if you want to within the measure values. And I'm going to change all of the sums to averages. So you can do that for each individual field by using the drop-down caret. But a quicker way is to actually select all of the fields of interest by holding down Control on your keyboard for Windows or Command for a Mac. So I'll select all of the sum fields here, and then I'll use the drop-down caret, go to Measure, and change it to Average. So what does this count here? There's one count of Atlanta delays. And I see it up here, actually. Count of Atlanta delays is what it's called in the column name. So what does that mean? Remember that this is automatically generated by Tableau. It's that count field, Atlanta delays count, that's automatically generated, and we can use it to tell us the number of records or rows in the data. I'll rename its label by going over to it in the table, doing a right click, and you can select Edit Alias. And then I'll name mine num delayed flights. And then you'll see that it comes up differently in the table. It shows a different name. If you have trouble seeing that name, which I'm having trouble seeing mine, you can actually resize the width of the columns. And I've just resized a little bit. You can also reorder any of your columns by dragging them around in your table, and I'll do that now. So I'm going to take the number of delayed flights and put that as the first field. Let's put average distance as my second field. And then let's move the taxi in and taxi out. And then I'll move the average departure delay in minutes. The rest of these fields are all for individual types of departure delay, and I'll leave those as is. Lastly, what I want to do is I want to show information by destination airport. So let's take dest, which is the destination airport field, and drag and drop it into rows. And now you see that we have this information for each individual destination airport that we have in our data set. You can also sort these. So for example, the average departure delay in minutes, I'll hover over that field, wait for the sort icon to come up, and then sort it. We can also add a totals row. If you go down to the bottom of the table right now, you won't see that yet. I'll go to the Analysis tab in the toolbar, go to Totals, and then there's an option for Show Column Grand Totals. I like that option, and I usually enable that. So now you can see that we have 5,244 flights in our data set. And then we have an average departure delay across those flights of 68 minutes. Text tables are often tricky for new users, so I wanted to show you how it's built. An alternative method that's easier for some users is to use the Show Me button instead. So I'll quickly show you that. What you can do is you can select each measure that you want to use in your table. I'll use all the ones that we used before. Select each one, and then you can select whatever your dimensions of interest are, which for us was destination airport. Once you have those selected, you can go to Show Me and then click on the text table. And then that will automatically build everything for you. It automatically brings out the measure names onto columns just like we did before. It brings measure values onto text, and you'll see it here in the measure values card as well. And then from here, you can also edit it just like we did before. You can change aggregations. You can move around fields if you would like. So this is a good place to end the video, but be sure to save your Tableau workbook.